Hi, everyone, and welcome to Illumi-Nation. Um, so, Valerie and I have started this new show. Valerie is a very powerful energy healer. I'm a psychic intuitive therapist. And we are going to have these videos now that we're going to be putting out on Tuesdays, followed by a live show on Wednesdays at noon. And so, if people have questions about the videos, or if you've got a story you want to share, that is going to be a wide open forum for us to be able to interact with our listeners. So we are very excited about today. Last week we were talking about manifestation, but I derailed us a little bit because we got into the chakras. So this week I am going to hand it over to my friend and my co-host Valerie to kick us off with a whole video about manifestation. So Valerie, take it away.
Thank you. So people are always doing like retreats, events, manifest your happiness, manifest your joy, manifest your future. And there's always like a lot of confusion about like how to go about doing that and what could prevent people from actually getting from what's in their head to what they actually want in life. And there's reasons why it's hard for some people to manifest. There's reasons why people struggle with getting where they need to be when there's blocks that might come in and prevent them from believing that they deserve all of the stuff that they want in life. And so I know for me personally, when it comes to manifestation, my understanding of this is like when you think of how we're living, you can live in the past, you can be worried about the future, but like you're really dead set in the present and you pull in the energy that you want to see for yourself. And then you release the control and surrender to the manifestation. You can expand that energy for that energy to become. But a lot of times we carry maybe negative thought process or like mindsets that pull us back into our past, right? So like we're pulled back into these vibrations of, social constructs, belief systems, maybe even, patterns where we didn't necessarily succeed with things that we wanted to in the past. And we sit in a lower vibration than where we need to be to expand and open ourselves to what we want, right? Because everything is energy and our thoughts create our reality, but it starts right here in this moment. So that's my understanding of manifesting in general and some of the things that people might come across with manifestation. I don't know if you want to add in any way on what your beliefs are around it.
Well, I think that, I think it's just a very timely conversation because, as you know, I have been struggling with the world that I have been in sort of my work in corporate America and making this transition to the work that I am doing now, the deep grief and loss work, the work with you, stepping into the idea of really opening myself up to channeled messages. And it has been that frustration that I can feel sometimes, like all the work that I've been doing with you to clear and to raise my vibration. And then I can feel myself being pulled back by my ego, my fear. And I can, and I know that that changes my vibration. And I think that what I love about this conversation, because I'm actively working on this, but I think this happens to all of us, that we can have this deep understanding of vibration and energy and manifestation, and we can, right? And we can still dip back into our ego and then be like, I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing, and how come I'm not getting it right?
I've sabotaged myself many times when it comes to manifesting. I've also nailed it many times. A few of my stories where it's like, holy smokes,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
I mean, but there are things that we can do to support that. So even if we find ourselves shifting back into a vibration that doesn't align us to where we want to be, there are actually things that we can do to help support staying in the vibration of where we want to go, right? And so they say there's actually, like, I don't know if anyone's familiar with like the megahertz and the different sound healings. There's so many different things. 888 is the vibration of manifestation, right? And so some people will actually listen to what is that, solfeggio frequencies? Is that what those are called? I'm not 100% positive on that. I believe that's what it is. And actually just sit in that vibration alone so you can support your energy even if you find yourself going backwards. There's another one that I actually came across that was really cool recently, where they say Beethoven's number 7 second movement helps support the exact vibrational frequency of letting things go, bringing in forgiveness, and then attracting everything that you want. It's really fascinating how sounds and music can
Sound.
support our frequency. It can be really beautiful. And then another one that I saw, um, what was it? Oh, I was listening to Joe Dispenza. I
Oh, I
was
love
listening
Joe
to I
Dispenza.
know, I love him. Oh my God. Um, but the book, one of his books was talking about like how do you step into what you want for yourself? And he has this like kaleidoscope meditation where like your eyes are open and watching this meditation, and then you're also simultaneously visualizing what you want. And there's something about your awareness and then your mind's eye or your subconscious that just collide to support it. There's just so many things out there to support us getting us to where we want to be if we find ourselves shifting back into the past.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, something else that's really powerful, and I think I might have mentioned this last week that I think sometimes there's misunderstanding around manifestation that, if you say it 6 million times or you envision it, that it's going to happen. But again, you and I have talked about this. Everything is based on vibration. All of us
So
are
true.
energy, and you're getting in the energy of if you already had what it is you want. So, for example, if you're somebody who wants to step out on the big stage, like let's say you want to do a talk for a TED talk or something, it's not just envisioning yourself on the stage of the TED talk, but it is matching the vibration of who would you be if you were that person on the
Yeah,
stage of a TED talk. And that's what we mean by matching the vibration. As soon as we have a desire, it is waiting for us. And the only
yeah,
thing that keeps us from manifesting that in the physical world is we have to match the vibration. And if we're in constant worry or conflict, as Valerie
or
just said,
doubt.
or doubt or anxiety or all of the other human egoic feelings and energy that we put out there, it is going to delay you bringing that into your reality.
It's funny that you're talking about matching the vibration because that manifestation unleashed that retreat that I'm going to be hosting with a few other people. Part of that, the second part of that is actually doing a guided meditation in what, like, kind of visualizing yourself in that space, pulling that energy into your into your aura, and then expanding it out, like, feet out, so it's like engulfing your auric field. And so I love that you mentioned that because that is so true. When you're pulling that energy in and then you're existing in that vibration, it can certainly just take force.
Yeah, and let me add another piece to that too. So let's say that you guys are in a job that you don't like. I know that's foreign to many of you, but you're in a job that you don't like, but it's supporting you. It's supporting you and your family. You're making a decent paycheck, or maybe you're not. But the point is, right now, you're in this job and you're choosing this job. You're choosing to stay in it. How do I know that? Because you're still working in the position that you're in. And yet you're in conflict with it because you hate it. Maybe you're focusing on all the things that you hate about the job. And so I just want to offer this up to you guys that when you start, we have control over where we put our focus. I mean, we've all heard what you focus, what you water grows, what you resist persists, etc. We hear all of these little sayings and they're around for a reason because you have the power. If you've got a job, focus on what you do like about it, even if it is only 3% of whatever
Right.
that job is. Do you enjoy the colleagues that you work with? When you intentionally flow your focus to whatever is bringing you joy, you are going to create more of that. And that is what impacts and raises your vibration.
Right. So let's say you don't necessarily love your job, but you're using that technique that you shared. It doesn't mean that you're stepping into a place of acceptance there. It just means I'm choosing to be here now, and this experience doesn't have to be so miserable. And furthermore, I'm now going to take my energy and decide what does bring me passion, what does bring me joy, how do I get there, and still just enjoy this time of where you are right now in this moment, and not generalizing your entire life experience as horrible. We very much have a tendency of leaning into negative mindset, and again, that's another thing. I was like one of those spiritual people when I first started. I was really cynical. You see the people with all the positive memes, and it like almost made me want to vomit. I'm like, no one even thinks like that all the time. That's so freaking ridiculous. Like, who can be that happy? And it's like, damn, like I must have been really miserable. Like I can't imagine a world where that could feel right or that could feel true. And even more recently, like I started doing like affirmations in my sleep to try to reprogram this negative like mindset, these negative thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because again, we've said this, you guys, the only thing the universe is a mirror. That's it. It only mirrors back what's happening with you. And so it can only match the vibration that you're putting out. So if you're focused on all the crappy stuff, it can only match you with more crappy stuff. And
Yeah.
that's why what Valerie is saying is really important. In fact, I think it bears repeating. So let's go back to the concept of flowing toward the little things that you might enjoy about your work. Maybe it's the money that's offering you the ability to stay in your home
Yeah.
and buy
That
your
one
food that you need
coworker
to
that
eat.
makes you laugh, even though
Eh,
they're making fun of everybody
eh,
in the building. Doesn't
right.
matter if it's keeping your vibration high, go for it. Sometimes,
Exactly. Because
you know,
then the universe can match more of that and bring
yeah,
you surprises. A job that you may not even have thought of is going to,
driving in traffic, maybe that's your time that you can look at as catching up with people on the phone or listening to high vibe music to like raise your frequency while you're just sitting in traffic, right?
which again, let's talk about the vibration of music.
Oh
And
my God, I am a music lover.
I am
So I
too.
am tone deaf.
And well, what I was going to say, I think we might have mentioned this too. Become very aware of what you're listening to, what you're watching, what are you consuming yourself with? Because what happens is you will match that vibration. So if you're
Yeah,
watching really violent shows or sad shows, you are going to feel yourself start to match that vibration. And same with music. Start to pay attention to the way you feel around the people you hang out with, around the music you listen to, and the stuff that you watch. How is it feeling? You know the difference between feeling good and not feeling good. And that is all vibration.
yeah. Sometimes a song might not have high vibrational words, but like the actual beat or whatever can actually totally bring your vibe up. It's funny, I was watching like an upload recently and like people were like listening to some like old 90s music and they actually like listened to the words for the first time and they were horrified, but the actual beat of the
The
song
beat.
was so high and so vibey that you're just like, yeah, you know.
Right,
Um
exactly, and you feel like you wanna move, and you want it and movement, by the way, um, that's the other piece. Get your body moving. I'm not saying you have to go run a marathon every day, but connect with yourself. If you're
yeah.
not a meditator, you don't have to meditate. Not everybody connects that way, but connect you've gotta find those ways to connect with yourself, connect with your heart. How do you feel?
I want to really touch on one of the biggest ways we can block our manifestations.
Yes,
And
please do.
from mostly personal experience, it's like I was a person that like had a lot of control stuff going on. It took me a long time to let go of a lot of that energy, but I know when it comes to manifesting, and this has come up in other talks that we've done too, but if you are trying to, if you are a controlling person or you have a mentality where the only way you can manifest this is in this is by this and this, and that's the only way that you see it, you really can block things from coming to fruition. And that's really like just surrendering to how it's going to happen and not having to create this like really intense plan about it, because it can block opportunity. It can block the experience. Let's say something has to come in a different way to come to fruition. This comes up a lot in the spiritual world. There's like, it might feel like something bad is happening. And then, in the midst of that, something really amazing happens. And then the manifestation comes to fruition. But if you're in the mindset that when something bad happens, that's connected to what you're trying to manifest, if you sit in that vibration, like, see, I knew it wasn't going to be, I just have that kind of luck, instead of saying, it doesn't matter, I still know that I'm going to get to where I want to be. And this might just be, taking a little step back before I take a giant leap forward. If you can surrender to that and not feel like you are having to control how it happens, it can come much faster, right?
And control how it happens. But as you and I have talked about 1,000 times, and let go of how you think it's supposed to show up.
Right. Right.
Right? Because the universe is going to match that feeling of satisfaction, that vibration, but it may not look exactly the way you think it is supposed to look.
Yeah. You have to surrender.
You have to surrender. And I want to say something else.
So hard to surrender.
It is so hard to surrender.
Faith, you gotta have some serious faith to get to that point in the world of spirituality, to be like, this is what I want. It's happening. Bam, the end. And just like table it. It's so hard to do that. But, as you practice, it becomes a lot easier.
And the practice is around moving toward, remember, we're experiencers. And I just had a channeled download, actually, I want to share, because I think that I'm feeling like some of you listening might feel like Valerie and I are talking about what people have now coined toxic positivity. And I want to make sure that you guys all understand that is not at all what we are saying. We're experiencers. We're here, and we have to have the contrast. You've heard me say this, so that we can choose our preference. So what's important is to always leave the space for the feeling. You're a feeler, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to have the negative emotion, and that's wonderful, because that's showing you, hey, this isn't my preference. You don't have to judge it. Let's say that you're around someone and you don't enjoy the vibe. Then you don't have to judge the person or say horrific things about them. You just move away from it, and you tell yourself, well, what do I prefer? Right? So we don't focus on, we don't become the experience of negativity. You allow yourself to feel it. You're like, wow, this is giving me some good info. I don't really, this is not my preference. What is? And then you start to get clearer and clearer. And then you start to move your energy toward your preference, rather than becoming the negative experience, ruminating on it, losing sleep over it, all of those things that we can do as human beings.
Yeah, you know how I feel about spiritual bypassing. I think it's horrifying. We're not supposed to carry judgment in this world, but I still do. So clearly I have a wound about it. But honestly, I think that it's important to understand, like, manifesting your joy is really another form of being authentic, true to yourself, self-love, because knowing that you deserve these things, there are going to be things that trigger you along the way, right?
It has to. That's how we grow. That's how we know that's how we know it's stuck.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you don't take those moments and sweep them under the rug, you can certainly get to where you want to be much faster. If you are somebody that like literally carries like the deepest wound of rejection, and you're trying to manifest this job, and you have all of these fears around, like even submitting the resume because you have this fear of rejection, like it is very, very hard. But when it comes to manifesting in general and wounds, right, you do have to challenge that energy. This is what I'm talking about, staying in the energy or challenging it. And it's the same with all shadow work at the end of the day. If you sit in the vibration of rejection, right, the word carries a vibration, and you sit in that fear, but then at the same time, you're trying to manifest your future. Again, this is an example of how living in the past and sitting in the vibration of the past can block you from your manifestations. How do you get out of that? Challenge the energy. You submit the resumes anyways and say, you know what? These people might judge me. They might never call me back. I'm going to submit 20 resumes. That way, if only one reaches out, that's one positive experience, but I'm going to up my chances, because if I only hand in two, that's going to trigger me, my deepest wound. And really like figure out a way to support your energy to get into the present and release the past.
And when we are triggered, and this goes back to our conversation last week, this is why we went through the chakras. It's an indicator that you have something stuck, a
Yeah.
wound, as Valerie said. And it doesn't matter if it was from 10 lifetimes ago, if it's
Doesn't.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
It just matters that now you're aware. And in that awareness, you can release it. Literally,
Yeah.
it's that easy. It doesn't have to be this hard exorcism. It's just
Exactly true.
bringing light to the subconscious. It's like, oh, I'm aware of that, right? The work that I've been doing with Valerie, I'm a social worker at heart. And in that, I carried a belief that somehow I'm just supposed to give and not receive. And so here I went out on my own, and people are trying to like pay me for my work. Oh, you don't need to pay me. And it was hilarious because in this, I didn't understand that as I was trying to make it on my own, I was not receiving because of a block and a belief that I held. And through the conversation and giving myself a little space to understand the feeling and the trigger, I was able with my work with Valerie and talking to release it. That's
The
all it
funniest
takes.
thing
Huh?
was when you were challenging the energy of being able to receive. And literally, I am not lying, you guys.
This is the true
Someone
story.
anonymously called me, paid for 2 months of her services, literally out of nowhere. I was like, "Susan, you need to challenge the energy and you need to be able to receive. You need to actually do this. Everything's going to work out. You have to believe that you deserve it." And then bam, this phone call comes in, the
Yeah.
situation happens, and I told her on the next phone call and she's like, "You're kidding me." No, I'm not. It's crazy. And here you manifested the situation and being able to receive, and you're challenging this energy. And then this awareness and this ability to sit in this vibration of like, wow, this feels good. You
And a
know,
lot of us, by the way, have blocks around money. So, challenge yourself. What is
yeah,
your relationship and belief system around money? And typically it goes right back to your childhood, right?
of
How did your
course.
parents handle money? What did you grow up in? Was it
Yeah.
in scarcity? Was it fear? Did your parents fight all the time? Did you grow up with a single mother? Like, what is your relationship and your belief around money? Because money is nothing more than an energetic exchange. That's all it
It's
is.
also just like in the realm of everything,
Right.
just a material, something that's created to,
Right.
within society to keep organization, and it triggers all sorts of low vibrational energies. And if you can release that low vibrational part of it and step into a different understanding of what it is and how it can support you and where you want to be, you can bring in all sorts of abundance for yourself too when it comes to finances.
Absolutely. And it's
That
all
takes
about
a little
belief.
time, right?
You cannot pull it in unless you actually have faith and belief in
Yeah,
anything that you wanna pull in. If
exactly.
you wanna go do that TED Talk, I'll just go back to that, and you don't think you have what it takes to stand on a stage, I don't care how many mantras you say, and I don't care how many times you envision it, you must believe in yourself. This is what self-love is. It's
Yeah,
believing that you are the spectacular being that you are here meant to be. And I mean, I laugh. We are here to literally rock our shine and to
yeah,
follow what lights us up. This
yeah,
is what we are all here to do. And there's no one who can do your particular thing like you.
yeah,
There
and
is
it's
no
not
one like
always
you.
that. And the thing is, it's not always easy for people to step out of that lower vibration. Some of this stuff has been passed on generationally. You have, again, past lives or ancestral trauma, all of this stuff and that energy feels very real when you're sitting in it. So I don't want people to hear this and think, God, you just don't get it, because I do. Trust me, I lived in that vibration for a very long time, and we're not all, and we're healing for our whole lives. So it's not even like it's
Exactly.
never. But at the end of the day, it's really about the challenge. How does this affect me in a negative way? What kind of experience do I want to have? And how do I challenge this energy and what it's telling me to do to have a new experience? That is literally it. And when you challenge the energy and you step into the new vibration and you feel the benefit of that. You feel the success of that. You feel the different experience. It's easy to stay in it, right? But if you never challenge it and you never actually sit and think, how does this affect me? If those thoughts never cross your mind, you can stay in a very much in a victim mentality or low vibrational experience or negative thought process or whatever you want to call it. And it becomes really hard to manifest your future.
Yeah, and I want to, and I know we just got a few more minutes. We're trying to
Yeah.
keep these videos so that they're digestible and
Yeah.
short. I want to just say one more thing, though, about this of why I love grief and loss work so much. I lost my brother 10 years ago, and it was a very dark period of my life. And grief energy is very, very dense for all of the reasons that you can imagine. And so the work that I do with my clients, what I love about it so much, it's honoring the grief. It's honoring the space for that. It's understanding too that we always have access to joy. And so I'll always say to my clients, when you are in that really dark, heavy space, allow yourself that space. Don't become it. Don't drown in it. And just do one thing that can make you feel just a little bit better that day, even if
Yeah.
it's a 5-minute walk or a bath, or it doesn't matter what it is. It's just intentionally doing something that gives you that relief and makes you feel just a little bit better than you did, when you're curled up in a ball in bed and I understand, guys, early grief. I understand that sometimes it's all you can do.
Yeah.
You can barely get out of bed. And believe me, I lived it. I know it. I was there. But I was also very aware in it that I just need to do one thing. Maybe it's making sure that I'm drinking water. It doesn't need to be big. It's just an intentional step. All
Yeah.
of these things are an intentional way to just raise your vibration, even when you are in your darkest hour.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah. So anything else before we wind down?
I mean, that was pretty much all I had to share about my experience with manifesting. If anyone has any questions about anything that we shared or wants to bring their own blocks to the table, like, hey, I'm trying this and this is what I'm coming across. And can you advise me on how to get past that? How do I dive into my manifestation? Or you're not sure what your blocks are and you need us to support that, where we're channeling messages for you. Susan is a strong channeler and so am I, where we can see where the block is in your chakra. Maybe it's a past life, maybe it's ancestral trauma, whatever it is. Just reach out, dive in. We can bring you onto the live show on Wednesday and kind of go ahead and answer some of those questions and support your journey.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for reminding me because as we said, so what we've decided is to make these, 20 to 30-minute videos. These videos will come out on a Tuesday, and we want listeners to engage with us on Wednesday at noon. Bring your stuff. And we'll talk it through real time. That's why we're here. We're doing this because just purely because it's our passion, and we want to help people based on what we've learned in our own lives.
Empower.
Empowerment. So thanks, you guys, for listening, for being here. And we hope to see you all next Wednesday at noon.
Bye.
Bye for now.